So let's talk about exercise from the perspective of a behavioral psychologist. So one of the things you learn as a behavioral psychologist is that it's very difficult for people to change their attitudes or their actions, and it's very difficult for people to change their lives. And we all know this because we might tell ourselves, for example, to exercise, and we might be well supplied with arguments for why that's a good idea, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we learn how to incorporate an exercise routine into our life. And often the reason for that, there's many reasons. I mean, exercise is difficult, and that's one reason, but it's also often the case that people don't form a strategy and break the problem down into steps that are simple enough to actually implement. So they think things like, well, I'll go to the gym 2 hours a day, 3 times a week, and I'll start that next week. And truth of the matter is they don't have 6 hours to spend, and they can't tell themselves what to do anyways. And so what you do as a behavioral psychologist is you look at the simplest possible change that produces the maximal possible benefit. And so, for example, if people are listening and they want to begin to implement an exercise routine, like what about a daily walk of 10 minutes in the morning? Like where would you start someone?
So it completely depends on their baseline. But based on your question, Jordan, I'm going to take it as we're talking about someone who's doing no exercise.
Yeah, let's start with them.
Yeah. So the good news is, first of all, and I accept the fact that not everybody is swayed by data, but I at least want to put it out there. So if you're a person who's in the doing 0 exercise per week camp, the very good news is the benefit you get from going from 0 to 3 hours a week is a greater benefit than anyone gets along the exercise curve, right? So taking someone who's at 5 hours and taking them to 15 will produce less relative benefit than going from 0 to 3. So in other words, I want that person to see some real incentive for making this change. Secondly, I'll put some numbers to it, right? So going from no exercise to 3 hours a week approximately reduces your all-cause mortality, that is to say death by every cause, by 50% at any moment in time. So if you're standing there asking, what's the probability I'm going to die this year? Well, we can sort of actuarially figure that out. You get to cut that number in half by simply going from 0 to 3 hours exercise a week if you're a non-exerciser.